Star Trek as a film franchise has cost Paramount approximately $1,320 million to produce across 13 feature films released between 1979 and 2016. Those 13 films have earned approximately $2,300 million at the global box office. On paper, that looks like a successful franchise. The reality is much more complicated. Of those 13 films, several were genuine financial disasters that nearly killed the franchise. Several were unexpected smash hits that resurrected it. One film almost bankrupted Paramount before its release. Another barely broke even after Paramount spent twice what it earned. And the single biggest flop, when you adjust for inflation and account for marketing costs, lost the studio more money than any other Star Trek production in the franchise's entire history. Today, I'm going to walk you through every Star Trek film in order, with their actual budgets and actual box office numbers. The hits, the flops, the films that should have done better, the films that surprised everyone, and the #1 biggest financial disaster in Star Trek movie history. At the very end of this video is a film I guarantee most viewers do not realize lost as much money as it actually did. Let me explain. Film 1. Star Trek, the motion picture, released December 1979. Production budget, $46 million in 1979 money, which equates to roughly $200 million today after inflation adjustments. Marketing budget, approximately $15 million additional dollars. Global box office, $139 million. The film was technically a success at the time, earning back its budget plus a profit margin that allowed Paramount to greenlight a sequel. But the production was so chaotic that the studio nearly killed the franchise before this film even released. The special effects company, Robert Abel and Associates, was fired 3 months before launch. Director Robert Wise had never seen Star Trek before being hired. Test screenings produced the worst response cards Paramount had ever recorded for a major science fiction release. The film opened to mixed reviews and was viewed internally as a commercial relief rather than a creative win. Verdict: profitable, but barely. Film 2. Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, released June 1982. Production budget, $11 million. Marketing budget, approximately $4 million. Global box office, $98 million. The most profitable Star Trek film ever produced relative to its cost. Paramount cut the budget aggressively after the first film's overruns and demanded a tighter production schedule. The result was the film most fans consider the greatest Trek movie ever made. Wrath of Khan returned approximately 600% profit on its production investment. Director Nicholas Meyer brought the budget down by reusing sets, footage, and props from the first film. The Genesis device sequences, which look revolutionary, were created using practical effects on a fraction of what the motion picture had spent on visual effects. Verdict: massive financial success and the financial proof point that Trek films could be profitable when produced efficiently. Film 3. Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, released June 1984. Production budget, $16 million. Marketing, approximately $5 million. Global box office, $87 million. Directed by Leonard Nimoy himself, who used his returning Spock contract leverage to secure the director chair. The film made money but earned less than Wrath of Khan, despite a higher budget. Paramount executives were privately concerned that the franchise had peaked with the second film. Critics were lukewarm. Fans were divided about Spock's resurrection storyline. The film performed well enough to greenlight Star Trek IV, but established a worrying pattern. Each film was costing more and earning slightly less. Verdict: profitable, but trending in the wrong direction. Film 4. Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, released November 1986. Production budget, $21 million. Marketing, approximately $7 million. Global box office, $133 million. The Whale Movie. Nimoy directed again. The film's lighthearted comedic tone, time travel premise, and accessibility to non-Trek fans made it the franchise's first genuine crossover hit. Mainstream audiences who had never watched Star Trek showed up specifically because the marketing positioned the film as a comedy first and a science fiction film second. Voyage Home outperformed every previous Star Trek movie on a percentage basis after Wrath of Khan. Paramount was thrilled. Verdict, surprise crossover hit and the most casual-friendly Trek film of its era. Film 5. Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, released June 1989. Production budget, $30 million. Marketing, approximately $10 million. Global box office, $70 million. The first genuine financial flop in the Star Trek film franchise, William Shatner directed. The production was troubled from start to finish. Special effects were rushed because Paramount lost confidence in the film during production. The story, involving a search for God at the center of the galaxy, was rewritten repeatedly. Critics destroyed it. Audiences rejected it. The film barely broke even after marketing costs were factored in, and Paramount privately considered ending the original cast film series. Star Trek VI only happened because the franchise's 25th anniversary was approaching, and the studio wanted a celebratory film. Verdict: barely broke even, nearly killed the original cast film series. Film 6. Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, released December 1991. Production budget, $27 million. Marketing, approximately $8 million. Global box office, $97 million. Directed by Nicholas Meyer, returning from Wrath of Khan. The film served as the original cast's farewell, set against the political backdrop of the fall of the Soviet Union and the dissolving Klingon Empire. Critics praised it, audiences responded. The film recovered from Star Trek V's damage and gave the original crew a dignified ending. Verdict: profitable and the franchise's recovery from its first major flop. Film 7. Star Trek Generations, released November 1994. Production budget, $35 million. Marketing, approximately $10 million. Global box office, $118 million. The film that bridged the original cast and next-generation cast through Kirk's death scene. Profitable. Reviewed mixed. The behind-the-scenes drama between William Shatner and Patrick Stewart during production has become legendary. Stewart reportedly resented Shatner's larger trailer, his crew priority, and his contract demands for increased screen time. Shatner reportedly resented being killed off. The Nexus storyline that allowed both captains to meet was reverse-engineered around the studio's commercial requirement that Kirk pass the franchise to Picard on screen. Verdict: financially successful, creatively contentious. Film 8. Star Trek: First Contact, released November 1996. Production budget, $45 million. Marketing, approximately $12 million. Global box office, $150 million. Directed by Jonathan Frakes. Considered by many fans to be the best next-generation film ever made. The Borg as antagonists. Time travel. Picard at his most badass. The film was a critical and commercial success, and Frakes earned permanent goodwill in the Trek community for delivering it. First Contact returned strong profit margins and confirmed that the next-generation cast could carry the film franchise as effectively as the original cast had. Verdict: major success. Frakes hailed as franchise savior. Film 9. Star Trek Insurrection, released December 1998. Production budget, $58 million. Marketing, approximately $15 million. Global box office, $112 million. Frakes returning to direct. The film performed adequately but did not match First Contact's success. Production costs had increased nearly 30% over First Contact, while box office returns dropped 25%. The franchise's profitability margin was tightening rapidly. Critics described the film as feeling like a next-generation TV episode stretched to 2 hours rather than a genuine cinematic event. Paramount's confidence in the franchise wavered. Verdict: profitable but disappointing, trend continuation. Film 10. Star Trek Nemesis, released December 2002. Production budget, $60 million. Marketing, approximately $20 million. Global box office, $67 million. The film that nearly killed the entire Star Trek movie franchise for the better part of a decade. Nemesis lost money. Even before factoring in the marketing budget, the film barely broke even on production costs. After marketing, it was a clear financial loss. Critics savaged it. Audiences ignored it. Paramount took the loss as a clear signal that the next generation cast had run its course as a film franchise. After Nemesis, no Star Trek feature film entered production for 7 years. The franchise effectively went dormant in Hollywood until JJ Abrams reinvented it in 2009. Verdict, major flop, ended an era. Film 11, Star Trek, released May 2009. JJ Abrams directing, production budget, $150 million. Marketing, approximately $100 million in global promotional spend. Global box office, $386 million. The Reboot. Abrams brought the lens flares, the kinetic editing, and the cast that included Chris Pine as Kirk and Zachary Quinto as Spock. The film was Paramount's largest Star Trek production by a wide margin and earned the highest box office in franchise history at the time. Critics praised it. Audiences embraced the new cast. The Kelvin Timeline was launched as an alternate continuity. Verdict, massive financial success, franchise resurrection. Film 12, Star Trek Into Darkness, released May 2013. Production budget, $190 million. Marketing, approximately $150 million. Global box office, $467 million. JJ Abrams returning. The film earned more than the 2009 reboot in absolute dollars. Critics were divided. Hardcore Trek fans were frustrated by the Khan reveal and what they perceived as plot beats, borrowed too heavily from Wrath of Khan. Casual audiences enjoyed it. Despite the box office success, profitability was strained because production and marketing costs had ballooned to a combined $340 million. Paramount needed massive numbers just to break even. Verdict, profitable, but with shrinking margins. Film 13, Star Trek Beyond, released July 2016. Production budget, $185 million. Marketing, approximately $150 million. Global box office, $343 million. Justin Lin directing instead of Abrams. The film was a financial disaster relative to its production cost. Beyond earned nearly $125 million less than Into Darkness, while costing only marginally less to produce and market. After accounting for total spend, Beyond barely turned a profit and may have actually lost money depending on how marketing costs are accounted internally at Paramount. The film effectively ended the Kelvin Timeline. Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and the rest of the cast have not returned in another Star Trek film since. Verdict, hidden flop, ended the Kelvin Timeline. And here's the biggest flop in Star Trek movie history. When you adjust for inflation, account for marketing costs, and measure profitability against expectations, Star Trek V. The Final Frontier remains the franchise's worst financial performer. Yes, the Whale movie's budget excess, Wrath of Khan's tight discipline, and Star Trek Beyond's diminishing returns all matter. But Star Trek V lost more money relative to its expected performance than any other film. The studio greenlit it, expecting a Voyage home-level success. They got $70 million on a $40 million combined budget. Audiences walked out. Critics called it embarrassing. The film almost killed the original cast film franchise immediately. Star Trek VI only happened because of the 25th anniversary marketing opportunity. Star Trek V is the film Paramount tried hardest to forget, and the one most experienced Trek financial analysts point to as the franchise's biggest single hidden disaster. And the biggest financial success by every meaningful measurement remains Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. $11 million budget, $98 million global box office. Approximately 600% return on investment. No other Star Trek film has ever achieved that profit margin. Modern blockbusters with $200 million budgets cannot match the financial efficiency of what Nicholas Meyer accomplished in 1982 on what would today be considered an indie film budget. Wrath of Khan saved the franchise, paid for the next decade of films, and remains the financial gold standard against which every Star Trek movie is still measured today. So drop a comment and tell me, which Star Trek film surprised you the most when you saw the actual numbers? Did you know Star Trek V was technically the franchise's biggest flop relative to expectations? Did you know Wrath of Khan returned 600% profit on its budget? And which film do you think Paramount should be most embarrassed about? Star Trek V for the original cast era, Nemesis for the next generation era, or Beyond for the Kelvin Timeline era? Let me know. And if you want more Star Trek financial deep dives, the studio scandals nobody talks about, the box office numbers Paramount would rather you forget, hit subscribe. CineWire is going to keep digging. 13 films, 47 years of cinema, $1,300 million in production costs. and the franchise that almost killed itself multiple times somehow keeps coming back.